It is time to make the sound to summon the stream. Greetings, dear viewers. I'm Coil Quickcard, and welcome back to the Community RPG Maker Project. Hello, Cole. Hello, Zephyr. Welcome to the stream. I have been working on a few things while we get ready to start. I have not tested any of them yet, so let's test them. Okay, so first thing to test, there should be a scene triggered when I go down here now from the ruins. I stand before you humbled and shaken. I feel as though a piece of my very soul is stolen from me and I never even realized. This wretched beast below, this Hydra in red, because it was requested, has tormented us for far too long. It is time to end its reign of death and horror. Ah. Okay, so wrong person is moving, so I do need to fix that up a little bit. You are event ID 005. I don't know how I got that wrong. Alright. So, before we go on any longer, let's just sort of introduce what we have here and what we are going to be focusing on today. So this is an RPG that I have been building over a little more than the past year. More or less streaming every weekend, and we are trying to build it using as many suggestions from viewers as we can manage to put in while still keeping it mostly cohesive. So that's the basic idea. What we are currently working on is finishing up like the big climactic finale of the second major act of the game, in which we are going to be doing battle against a creature called a false Hydra, which is sort of a meme monster that was developed in the Dungeons and Dragons community many years ago. The basic gist of it is that the false Hydra is able to kill people and also cause people to forget about the existence of its victims. So the whole second act of the game has really been centered on this city of Wallachia, which has been victim to the false Hydra's attacks, has forgotten most of its people, most of its own history, and we've been building the dungeons, heading down to the layers where the false Hydra will actually be fought against. And today I want the focus to be on working on these final dungeon areas, and also brainstorming and coming up with some of the mechanics that we are going to be using for the big false Hydra fight. We added a mimic last time, noob. We are not adding a mimic again. In fact, we added 2 mimics, and you fought them both. So yeah, that's going to be the focus of today's stream. Working on these final areas, working on a boss fight, at least coming up with mechanics. Yes, Cole, I have seen Futurama. And as far as you were asking about the crocodile people sprites, I have no idea. I'll have to figure it out. So how far are we? We are. What are we by time? We are around 6-ish, 7-ish hours of gameplay into the game. We are basically at the finale of the second major act of the game. So once again, let's keep testing. It still feels really bare bones here. Okay. Oh. Okay, she disappears. Brave soldiers of Wallachia, we are marching into the deepest reaches of our forgotten history. Already our heroes stand in the vanguard, ready to fight. Already an army of the honored dead are being assembled to join us. Let this be our finest day, the finest hour of Wallachia. Did you fix the bugs I told you last time? Mostly, but none of them are integrated into the public release of the game yet. Okay. So, that scene shouldn't trigger again. And it doesn't. Okay, so that's working. We'll drop our next debug save here. We can definitely make a couple more changes here. First off, this lady doesn't need to disappear, and let's also change the music here for something a little more like heroic and active. Okay. Okay, I think I kind of like that. So we're going to fade out the background music over 3 seconds. We fade out. We'll make sure that we wait those 3 seconds. Okay. And I'm currently designing an event here where we give our character Elena the sword that is able to hurt intangible enemies and make them vulnerable. I do want to do a little bit more map work around here. It just looks very bare bones. Sometimes it can work to actually add some decoration outside of the explorable area. So I'm going to start with that. Unfortunately, the way that I designed this map. What do you think about the poison Shifuria? I like it a lot. But it's not going to be something that I work on today. Okay, I still need more. I still need more. Okay. So we can add some dark splotches around the map for texture. The trick to making it look good is asymmetry. Honestly, a little bit of stair works as well, just to break up the appearance of the floor. Ooh. Okay, I don't think that actually looks good on the black at all. No, that looks terrible. The ground does look better. Oh, whoops. What if instead of going with the black, I went for full walls? The portal fixing with all the teleporting was so freaking cool. I'm glad you liked that. I think I might prefer... Yeah, I think I still prefer it with the black. Which means I'm going to have to get rid of all of these bits that I added. But that's not such a big deal. That just didn't have the kind of look I was really hoping for. I think it's a little too small. The area is definitely very, very claustrophobic. The area that it leads to will be better. No, it definitely feels too small. Okay. Yeah, going for full walls is just better, I think, for this particular map. I think that works. Yeah, I think that works a little bit better. Let's decorate this area a bit. Which dungeon set am I using? Dungeon Alt C. And in Dungeon Alt C... Okay. The little bits are passable, which is good. Let's add, like, a mossy rock here and there. Okay. Make a little scene here. Sword worked on it. Let's see. If I attack it with the sword, the rest of you should be able to hurt it. We're just going to spell that out very, very clearly for the player. And then we will have the test battle. Horse legs are in the same durability scale as uncut spaghetti. You can keep it that size, just add a door that only unlocks when you kill a certain number of enemy. No. This is just meant to be like just an area that you walk into, and this is like the antechamber for the next area. Ooh, yeah, should not be able to walk on that. I can fix that. So we come here and we find a sword stuck in the water. Could that be the sword, the one Mr. Bones gave my sister? I can feel powerful magic radiating from it. Even in this dreary place, it has spurred life. What are you waiting for, girl? It feels like desecration. I'm sure she would have wanted you to have it. And the monster shows up, which is actually fairly transparent looking. Stand back, dearies. I've got this. No effect at all. My spells pass right through it. Ryu tries to attack. What is this thing? Damn monster. Elena pulls the sword from the water. Die, damn you. The sword worked on it. If I attack it with the sword, the rest of you should be able to hurt it. Okay, so here we have our battle against the tortured soul. So it has a powerful effect to drain life. Attacks are exceedingly ineffective against it. Just nothing you have can hurt it, except for bottle cap toss, because that works in a completely different way. But if Elena hits it, then it becomes more solid. And now you can actually hurt it, and it's actually got fairly low defense. I still feel like Zenith should not be that strong against it, though. Make the animation for Ice Storm faster. It takes so long. It takes so long because it is 4 animations stacked on top of each other. Okay, so that works. But we need a few changes. You're being transferred there. So instead of that, let's move the player here facing down. We are going to make the player transparent. And we are going to add another event here to take the place of the player. Just so that the player can be moving around without the camera. Okay. So now I have to adjust any time we have the player moving to make it be Scene Ryu instead. Ryu. 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 Okay. So we do have... I think that works. So anyway, Cole, the reason that the Ice Storm animation is long is because it is this animation being played 4 times. And it's being played 4 times because it's essentially running the same effect. On 4 targets that are being picked at random. So, this is the fastest ice animation. So, I really don't have the ability to make it any faster. It's just always going to be 4 of those. I mean, that one might be a little faster. Honestly, I think the sound works a lot better, because the ice one gets very, very, very loud. And really, it's because of that crashing sound. This one would be a lot nicer on the ears. Let's give that a try. Thatcher, you are holding the Staff of Ice Storm. Let's go. I'll bet this is going to be a lot better on the ears. Oh. No, that's absolutely faster. Okay, that's faster, and that's nicer on the ears. Okay, Noob. Thank you for mentioning that. That actually is just an objective improvement. Next thing, you are so damn fast. I don't think I need to nerf it that hard. Just go with that. Now, the intangible... okay. That's why Zenith was still working so strong. I did not give it the 98% resistance to anti-undead magic. Okay, perfect. So you have the fight. And then Thatcher will say, I guess we know how to handle those now. And then Elena is going to comment, let's keep going. And at that point, we fade out. We transfer the player, I think, here facing right. We turn player followers back on. We activate the switch to make everything in the scene disappear. And then we fade back in. Okay. Let's see if all that works. Oh, right. And before I forget, we also need to make water impassable on this tile set. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so the monster comes, the monster looks transparent. Thatcher tries to use fire on it and it doesn't work. Ryu attacks it and doesn't do anything. We need to turn Elena's stepping off. Turn off Elena's stepping when she grabs the sword. we spell out very, very, very clearly what you have to do to be able to hurt this. And that is to attack it with Elena's sword. Good. And then I There we go. Once you actually make it vulnerable, it is very easy to deal with. I guess we know how to handle those now. Also, the monster doesn't disappear. Make the monster vanish after battle. Let's keep going. Okay. Also, we are invisible. Make player transparent off. Okay, so 3 bugs in that tiny space of time. So Elena turns left, and we turn stepping animations off. The monster itself needs to disappear. So the ghost needs to go to transparent. The player needs their transparent turned off. And then that's ghost scene done. Whoops. And with ghost scene done, this guy disappears as well. We should be able to access the save point and then move on. Alright. Alright, we can no longer walk on those. That's good. Let's speed through all of this. Okay, line up on the sword, we attack. We have a battle. Very good. Elena attacks. Good. Malter. Thatcher, kill it. Elena, Justice Punch. Ryu. Double Claw. So we keep going. We can pass through all the spots where there were things. How many dragon shift are you planning to add? Maybe 6 max. I don't actually have a strict number in mind, but once we get past 6, it's probably just going to get kind of complicated. Ryu needs stuff made more expensive. The wing buffet costs 12. The breaths cost 24. Let's make all the double claws cost 14. Still cheap enough that you could use it spammably, but not so cheap as to be practically negligible. How about around the end we combine those and make Ryu the Draconic Overlord? Oh, that's an interesting idea. Okay. I actually really like that idea. Don't mind the fan. We're turning the fan on. Next thing. We want to actually adjust the double claws element to match the form it's in. So, physical for green dragon, ice for blue dragon, fire for red dragon. I haven't done anything with yellow dragon, and dark for dark dragon. Okay. So we're going to copy this, put this here as the transfer out. Make Rio the Draconic Overlord the final boss. We've already got, like, 4 suggestions for what the final boss is. And I definitely don't have... At least I don't think I have any kind of an existing asset that would work for that. I mean, that kind of works. Just keep it the evil god, that would be best. There is so much going on in this project. I could definitely do a chromatic dragon. The idea was like all the dragon forms being active at once took over Ryu's mind. That is interesting. If I went with a coloration like this, or even one where like I mess with the chroma a little bit in GIMP, I could definitely make like essentially a multi-hued chromatic dragon. So that's definitely within my capacity. Okay, let's make the next level of the Hydra layer. So I don't really know what we're going to do with this next spot. Make it a requirement to fuse the shift orbs. That's true. You know, at some point, a year or 2 from now, when we are actually at the point of the game to do that, we can definitely touch back on that idea. So we will make a note of it. The final boss is named John. John's daughter Timmy is being raised to be a child-slaying dragon soldier. Timmy joins the party to take down her corrupt dad. Timmy is a squishy but potent magic eater. John has a dead dragon in his basement, accessed via a hidden door. But also Ryu is the final boss, and actually, to be honest, these two things work together perfectly well. It is the final boss, and he fuses his dragon orbs together and becomes a powerful but feral chromatic dragon. So that would actually justify going out and having a joint thing. Not final boss. I mean, this kind of works, though. And then, of course, the final reveal will be that Thatcher is the one who killed Ryu's parents, but she forgot. Alright, let's clear the map and start over. Going to be doing a little bit of map work here. Not a ton of map work, but Let's make it a mid-sized map. So do we have any general ideas for what's going on this floor of the Hydra's lair? At this point, we're just doing like very basic dungeon. So like shapes, like an idea of which direction we're going, a particularly notable feature we come across. Poison mist. Ooh. Ooh, I like that. Okay. So we're going to have this open up into like a sizable chamber. And then in this chamber you have to avoid the poison mists. And then there's going to be a few paths leading off of this main chamber, which are mostly red herrings. So we'll just have a few branching paths here. Just like that. Okay, and then this one will be the true path that gets you out of the dungeon. So, I like that. Now let's make the walls. Okay. So we just need a few spots. There we go. Okay. So there is the basic shape of the next level of the dungeon. And then we will make a prototype poison mist, and then we're going to switch gears a little bit and start brainstorming our boss. So it needs to be below characters. It needs to be event touch. It needs to be visible. I think these are a little too big for my purposes. A swirly thing might work. More swirly things. Let's see. Swirly thing. I love evil clone or dark mirror characters in story. Oh, I know. I've definitely gotten that from you. Everyone has their own particular things that they love most when they find them in stories. Honestly, I think this might work. No, because you're basically going to be stepping... I don't know. We'll give this one a try. So, when you touch it will apply a state to the party. Let's see. How do I do this? It's probably just best to take poison, copy it here. How do I... Only mentioning from them I did was the mirror moving ghost. Yes, but your passion on that was very clear. Okay, how do I want to express this? I mean, I guess there's really no reason to differentiate between this and the regular, between this and the regular poison. They can basically just work the same way. Okay, so you touch this, and the entire party becomes poisoned. It will also flash the screen. For like 10 frames. And it'll play a sound effect. What kind of sound effect? Okay. I think that'll work. We will test it. But first, this is where we get a second cutscene of people preparing to join you in the final battle. That's going to be in the barracks. Here, facing right, player, transparent. Okay, the barracks. time to empty turns on, and that is when we transfer the player here. And player transparent off. And this also turns on the switch. Hydra Prep cutscene 2. I love collecting amiibos. I do not have the expendable income to do that, unfortunately. Okay. We also don't need the trap switch resets. Good. And Hydra. Okay. Level 1. Facing right. Okay, let's take a look. Ah. Okay, the sword was still there after the scene. Right. Because I did not add a switch to make the sword stay disappeared. Alright. So we saw the first part of the army being assembled, and that first part of the army was all the soldiers in the city. That did not do anything. So, transported to the barracks. So we need this to fade in the screen. And we also did not turn on time to empty. There we go. Okay, let's try again. Amiibos are an accessory for Nintendo hardware. They appear as characters from games, so they're little collectible figures in and of themselves. And then they also contain RFID chips in them. And certain games are programmed with features that activate when the hardware detects those specific RFID chips. So they simultaneously serve as small collectibles and also ways to unlock like little bonuses in games. And this, ironically, actually makes it not particularly difficult to create your own RFID chips, which are able to unlock that same content without ever needing to purchase a Nintendo Amiibo. Which, although I've never done, I have always wanted to do, because I figure there's no way there's that much encryption sitting inside of collectible figure RFID chips. But I could be wrong about that. Alright, let's continue. We go down. Okay. That music does not work. Alright, we transfer, and we immediately fade out the BGM. And then we need a different music to start playing. Actually, instead of doing a fade out, why don't we just have a single command to play a different music instead? Which means that at the end of this, we want to fade out the BGM. Okay. Alright, let's do this again. I really hope this works. He reads a magic spell. And this causes Mr. Bones to activate the undead army. Forward, protectors of Wallachia. Forward, ye honored dead. The living have need of you once more. You have no idea how long it took me to make this work. I think we actually have a chance. Yes! Okay, and then it puts us back here. We still have access to the transfer. And the transfer does not immediately start that up again. Okay. Does the poison mist work? Okay, interacting it poisons everybody exactly the way I wanted. We want this to be below characters so that you can actually step on it. That's important. Go, my undead! Oh, it's so beautiful. Okay. Drop another save. Alright, and walking around does hurt you. That actually hurts you a lot. Like, a lot more than I want it to. So, we're going to make that a fair bit weaker. Okay. Add a holy spell that removes poison. Yeah, I think you're right. What level are we actually at right now? Level 14. Okay. So we're going to have Elena learn an ability at level 14. Which can remove poisons. Purification is a good name for that kind of... Not all debuffs. I specifically don't want it to be able to cure all debuffs. But anything that's really... How about I just make it all damage over time? I think all damage over time works. So that would include my 3 versions of Frostburn. Weak poison. Burning. I think that's all the damage over time effects I have from now. So this will be Purify. It's a holy arts. It's good for 1 ally at a time. It's actually going to be a lot cheaper than exercise. We're going to just make it cost 8. We'll have, say, chance a purifying spell. This will be heals effects which cause damage over time. Okay. So Paladin is going to learn that at level 14. And then I need to make sure that I get that on my save file. So I will have a thing I can interact with to get that skill. And then a little sound effect to know that it happened. Removes debuffs that harm you over time. Debuff is a game term not everybody is going to know. Okay. So we now have Purify. But there's nothing wrong with that. Removes effects which deal damage over time. Remove status effects which cause damage over time. Remove status effects which cause damage over time. Remove status. Remove status effect from an ally Removes any status effects from an ally which cause damage over time. I think that works. Okay. Alright, now let's actually start focusing on what we're in theory here to do today. We have a boss fight to design. So, what do I have in mind for this fight? So, it is going to be a lengthy, multi-phase boss fight. In one phase, you stop controlling your regular characters and instead control the army of the dead. So in this phase, you play defensively as more and more undead show up. So you transition from defensive abilities to offensive ones as the number of zombies present increases. So this is what I have planned for one phase of the fight. And I know that the intangible mechanic comes into play somehow, since we have now introduced that in this dungeon. So, aside from that, what do we do? What does this boss fight look like? So, I think there needs to be an initial fight which does not go well. So it'll kind of be... It will not be a forced lose. The initial fight will not be a forced lose. You will actually have to beat this first part, but it's going to be it's going to be tough. It's going to be clear that that this is a problem. So, how do I do this? Okay. So, fight one, you do have to win, but it is very challenging. The fight ends with the Hydra unleashing some kind of powerful attack that weakens the whole party. Then fight 2 features the undead army after Elena uses her sword to get rid of the Hydra's protection. Hydra releases poison flames. Yes, I like that. Okay. So one mechanic is amnesia, where players can't use their special abilities. That's very, very fitting for a false Hydra battle. So an amnesia effect which hits the whole group. A confusion or berserk or mind control effect. We want to represent how easy it is for this thing to warp with people's minds. A confusion berserk or mind control effect. Single target and cannot be gotten rid of, lasts a while. So every few turns it could select one random party member, and then that random party member is basically just not usable. Like, they'll still be acting, but they'll be acting like on their own. The player won't be able to control them for a little bit. It can also use the amnesia effect, which locks out the whole team from being able to use their special effects for a bit. Can become intangible to block damage to itself. Hello, Chris. Basically stunned. Kind of. Mechanically, yes. The idea is that they're stunned in that they're not like an active participant, but I do want them to still be like actually acting. So I don't know if we want to go with a confusion or a berserk effect, or if we just want to flag them for auto battle. But they're going to be active, but they're not really going to be helping. Turns into poison mist. Could become intangible. I like that. It can become intangible to block damage to itself. When it does, it poisons the whole party. What if it did poison and amnesia on the whole party? What if every few turns it's basically just like transitioning into this form where there's not much you can do to it, and it gives you an opportunity to try and kind of stabilize things on your end. Poisons the whole party for damage and a lock effect. It would be too hard. I can make it doable. Like, we can adjust the flow of the fight so that during that period of time it's not really doing much damage, which would make sense since it did just turn into a poison mist. So I think that works. Okay. So alternates between a physical and intangible state. When going intangible, poisons and locks the whole party. And then when no longer intangible, that is, when Elena uses a regular attack against it, when no longer intangible, goes back to physical form and logic. So we're actually going to be transferring between two different forms during the battle. The Confusion Berserker Mind Control effect is not going to happen during the intangible phase. Because adding that on top of a lock effect would severely curtail the player's ability to potentially stabilize the fight. It's not that it is kind of an immune phase. When it's intangible, there's really nothing you can do to hurt it, but you can also dispel the intangible by just attacking it with one of your characters who has a special weapon equipped. So you are able to get it out of the immune phase as quickly as you want. But the immune phase provides an opportunity to help restabilize your party, to, use some healing items and stuff like that. So I think we want an immune phase, but one that quickly gets out of hand if you don't deal with it. So, like, if it gave you two turns, if it gave you 2 turns while it's in an intangible phase, to kind of restabilize yourself, that might work. Maybe that would work. Okay. So we have the tangible and intangible phase logic. So in the intangible phase logic, it will use a conversion berserker mind control effect on a single target that cannot get rid of, lasts a while until a new target is affected. So that's going to be something it does in its tangible phase. Okay, in the intangible phase, after transition, curses the whole party. So basically, so it goes into a mist form, it poisons and then it locks the whole party, and then the turn after that, it curses the whole party to reduce the effectiveness of healing. So we're basically putting a lot of pressure on Elena, because she can get rid of curse from the entire party, and she basically has to. Do the dragon forms resist certain states? Not really. Yeah, not really. It should do something with dark elemental power, though. The dark dragon form is the one that we've most recently unlocked, so it should have a big dark dragon, a big dark elemental attack that it uses. That Dragon Guard is useful to block against. Okay. So when it transitions into the tangible phase, after transition, uses a strong dark element attack on the whole party. The Hydra is going to be very slow. Hydra is very slow, so players always act first. That will give the players a chance to set things up during the various phase transitions. Okay. So what else? What else? What else? I feel like I'm getting close here. I feel like I'm getting really close to an ideal shape of this fight, but I'm not quite there yet. It needs more things that it does as regular actions during its tangible and intangible phases. What if I just had a completely predictable battle pattern? Like, what if in the tangible phase it did a series of very specific predictable actions in a row and then transitioned to intangible phase? And then in intangible phase, it also has a series of predictable repeated actions. But if you don't get rid of the intangible phase quickly enough, then after like 5 turns or something, it's just going to kill you. So the tangible phase would be like there would be a long period of disruption for the player, and then an opportunity to stabilize during the intangible, an opportunity to get some damage in, and then the whole thing would repeat. If that was the entire encounter, I don't think it would be especially good. I don't think that would be an especially good design for the whole boss. But this is just the first part of multiple series of battles. And I think having the first part be a predictable pattern would work. So when it's in transition, when it's in tangible phase, it uses a strong dark elemental attack on the whole party. After strong attack or on turn 1, it puts a compulsion effect on a target that's going to last until it phase transitions. The next move it will do is how about dark attack plus a stun? So it'll deal heavy dark damage to a single target and also stun them, so they won't get to act the turn after that. And I feel like I want 1 or 2 more actions before it transitions. Turn before transition does nothing. The only thing it does the turn before the transition is signal that it is going to do the transition. So that means I need one more turn of action. So we've had a strong group hitting effect. We've had a strong single target effect. We're about to go into multiple strong group hitting effects. So what do I do on that turn? I should go for something different. Okay. Cuts a single target's MP by 50% of current. That is completely survivable. That is not spectacularly disruptive, but it is something that you have to deal with the consequences of. So, in its tangible phase, when the battle starts, it's in tangible phase. So, on turn 1, it drops some kind of a compulsion effect on a single target, and that effect's going to be there until it goes intangible. On the next turn, it has a heavy dark attack that also stuns. On the turn after that, it reduces one of your character's current MP by 50%. On the turn after that, it does nothing. And then it goes intangible. So, transitions to intangible phase by turning into a toxic mist, which poisons and locks the whole party. And then the next turn, it curses the whole party to reduce healing effects. So at this point, we are now 2 turns into the intangible phase. The whole party is poisoned. The whole party can't use their special abilities. The whole party has reduced effects from healing. So they're kind of at a point where they have to start using their items in order to stabilize the fight. Okay. So we need a few other turns. And when we design this boss, I'm basically just going to have to design its entire logic to just run at the end of every turn. Because I want it to follow a very specific pattern sequence. So we're going to use a combination of switches and variables and turn in battle conditions in order to judge its entire logic. This will be the most logic thorough fight I have designed in this project yet. So we need more stuff it can do while it is intangible. Okay, I'm gonna put on some music here real quick. Alright, let's think about that. I will be right back. We'll be gone like less than 2 minutes. Okay, I'm back. Let's keep working on this. So I need a few more specific actions that we can take during the intangible phase. Let's see. There we go. All right. How do I do this? How do I do this? What do I have this do? On the next turn, weak dark damage to the whole party. And it'll do that for 2 turns in a row. And it'll do that for 3 turns in a row, and then after that, it will start killing off a player every single time until you convert it back to the tangible phase. Alright. Is affected by Hydro Mist. Is no longer affected by Hydro Mist. Is affected by Hydro Mist. So we are going to seal at this point. No magic, no specials, no dragon, no bottle craft. None of your special abilities. You can't even dragon shift. Okay. Alright, so that is the first state I'm going to need here for the Hydro Mist. Which means that the Purify now needs to be able to get rid of Hydro Mist. Okay, Crystal Pepsi needs to be able to get rid of Hydro Mist. Alright, and then I also had a few... A few accessories that need to be able to do something. So, resist poison... Resist Hydro Mist. Okay. You sell the Clear Head Charm, but you also sell the Pure Blood Gem. So that is the transition state. We also have the Cursed State. We have Stun. So we only need one more state for the first Hydra fight, and that is the Persistent Control effect. And I think Enrage works well enough for what we're going with there. Yeah, okay. So now we need to start building our skills for this thing. So first, hitting all enemies. Is a dark move. And we're going to make it pretty strong. It unleashes a blast of dark power. So, explosive darkness. That is the strong one. Okay. Then we have the stun. This is going to be the grasping dart. And this is just going to be False Hydra. Reaches out from the shadows. And this one can stun. Okay. Drains stamina. So this is going to be the stamina cut. So this is the target's current MP. So it's B.MP over to no element MP damage that can't critical hit. I think the False Hydra should have a move that disables one of your moves. It disables all of your moves. Okay. So that is the stamina cut. Turn before the transition does nothing. Okay. So, the explosive darkness... Okay. So this is going to be the Misty Darkness. Hydra floods the area with toxic mist. And this one's got a fair bit of variation to it, but it's also really not that strong. Okay. The next one is to add the state Hydra Mist. Turns into Foul Mist. Which affects all enemies. Okay. And then this one is Compulsion, which adds the Enraged state to a single target. One of the Hydra moves, they're a way to make a draining move, but it drains MP and turns it into HP. I could... I think that'll be a good thing to have under, like, the next main phase. Okay, Compulsion. Hydra drives the mind into a blind rage. Okay, so we have the strong dark attack, we have the compulsion, we have the single dark damage, we have the MP reduction, doing nothing is easy, we have the toxic transition. Okay, so the last thing we need is curse all, and then death. Okay. So, target everyone with curse. Spews cursed energy. And... ooh. Oh, that's a good one. Doing work on my Hackmon. And then if you don't let it go, if you don't end it fast enough, it's... then the Hydra devours the soul, and it's just a death effect. And this is Curse All. Okay. That is a big, complicated fight. Holy crap. Okay. We're going to have Hydra 1B. We're going to have Hydra 1A. This isn't what we're going to go for in the final form, but we're just gonna use it for now. Yeah, that's pretty horrifying. Okay, so that's gonna be Hydra 1A, and 1B will just be, sure, that. Why not? It's not going to have any of that. It's going to give, like, 500 XP, like, 3,000 gold. It's absolutely insane. Okay. Dear God, that is actually horrifying. Okay, so at the end of every turn, once a turn, it is going to check its logic. So the very first thing it is going to do is force the Hydra to use the compulsion effect. So, compulsion on a random target. And at this point, we're going to activate a logic switch. We're going to call this Hydra Logic 1. And we're going to turn it on. which means the first thing we need to do is add a check. If Hydra Logic 1 is not on, then you don't do anything. Otherwise, you just do that first move. Okay. Got an idea for the Hydra fight. Go ahead. So the second thing it's going to do is a heavy dark attack plus a single target stun. So we're going to add the intangible check. If Hydra 1 is intangible, then we know Phase 2 is active, and we're doing Phase 2 logic. Okay. So this is going to be phase count. So if phase count is equal to 2, first phase count increased by 2. So if phase count is equal to 2, so this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So the Hydra needs to use Grasping Dark on a random target. And then that will also increase the phase count by 1. So we want to count backwards. Phase 4 is cut to a single 1 by 50%. So phase count is equal to 3. Then we force the Hydra to use Stamina Cut on a random target. And then if the phase count is 4, this is where we force the Hydra to use Hydra Miss at random. We set the phase count to 0. We also transform the Hydra into Hydra 1B. And we also apply a state. Namely, intangible. Okay. And then we add a message, and it'll just be the false Hydra turned into intangible mist. Okay. So now the phase count is at 0 again. So first things first, if the phase count is 0, so the first thing is it curses the whole party. With the Curse All effect. And if the phase count is 1, Then it goes with the Misty Darkness. And Misty Darkness we're actually going to change to the Fog effect. Okay. So then, if the phase count is 2, you do it again. If the phase count is 3, you do it again. If the phase count is 4, you do it again. And if the phase count is greater than or equal to 5, you begin using the death effect. Okay. Okay, so I need it to detect. I need it to detect when this happens. Okay. If phase count 2... So, if phase count 1, that's when you use Explosive Darkness. And then Grasping Dark, Stamina Cut, turn into Mist. Phase count 4, Transformation. Okay. And this is where we're going to have Hydra Logic 2 active. So if the Hydra is intangible, then it'll use its intangible stuff. However, if the Hydra is not intangible, but Hydra Logic 2 is on, then the first thing we do is turn Hydra Logic 2 off. And we have this, which we set to 1. If Hydra Logic 2 is on, we add an else. All of this has to go into the else. And we force it to transform back into Hydra 1A. We don't need to adjust its form. We set the phase count to 1. The False Hydra returned to physical form. Okay. So, I think we grab all of this. The False Hydra returns to physical form. And we set the phase count to 2. So that on the next turn, it goes back to Grasping Darkness. Hold on. If Hydrologic 1 is on... No. This is if Hydrologic 1 is on. Yeah, Hydrologic 1 is on. Alright, so this is what I'm missing. Okay. So if phase count is equal to 1, that's when we have it apply compulsion, and that's when we increase the phase count by 1. And that only triggers if the phase count is equal to 1. So it counts back. Okay, I might have a boss. Let's do our first test of Hydra. This is probably going to be a mess. This is going to be False Hydra 1. Oh, that's horrifying. Okay. Okay, good. That is the correct move. It used compulsion. So the next thing it does should be Grasping Darkness, a heavy dark attack on a single target plus stun. Okay, Grasping Darkness hit everybody, so that's wrong. So, change Grasping Darkness to single. Whoa, wait, what? Okay, it did two things in a row there. First off, Stamina needs to be one enemy. Grasping Dark needs to be one enemy. Okay, you also basically acted twice in a row. Also, I think I need to make you smaller. You're a little big for the purposes of testing. Okay, there's turn 1. Compulsion. Next should be Grasping Darkness. There's Grasping Darkness. So the next move will be... reducing HP. Okay, good. It drains stamina. That's good. So the next thing... Oh, it's supposed to do nothing on the next turn. Okay. Add the turn of nothing before transition. Alright, bye, noob. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, we all get affected by Hydraness. You are supposed to be intangible. Also, false Hydra... Okay, alright, so we definitely have a few things to fix. First of all, we need to make that a lot slower. If the Hydra is intangible, then you do all of that. Otherwise, if Hydra Logic 2 is on... Change enemy state to intangible. Okay. Actually, we don't need 2 stamina cuts. We just need to make this activate on phase 5 and above. So why didn't you turn intangible? Also, to prevent various states from appearing constantly, we are going to have to add an intangible remove immunity to every single enemy in the game which is not intangible. So we just need to do this another over 60 times. Hello, Amogus. The Necro Crab, the Unstable Jars, the Dark Dragon, the Strange Zombie, the Feral Zombie, Guardian Statues, a Template, a Boss We'll Never See Again, Blood Puddles, Canopy Catboys, Jungle Vines, Anacondas, Chimpanzee with a Knife, Zombie Flesh Puddles, Headless Zombies, Giant Zombie Hands, High Pixel Count Zombies, Well-Rendered Zombies, Red Dragons, Cold Crazed Combatants, Arctic Blooms, Rogue Elementalists, Snow Beasts, Feral Fissure Felines, Lava Squids, Rock.png, Molten Slime, Feral Fissure Feline, Lava Squid, Rock, Molten Slime, because all those are twice on this list, Skaven, Lego Lass, Wendigo, Wolfpack, Flurry, Wolfpack, Sand Lizard, Snake Charmer, Scorpion, Worm Queen, Bottle Cap, Mimic, Worm Hatchling, Resilient Egg, Cavern Crab, Gorilla with a lot of guns, Leafwing, Toxic Toadstool, and the Feral Forest Feline. When do you think you'll finish it by? Maybe 2 years. Yeah. Like, if you want a genuine answer, I figured when I started this that this would probably be a 3-year project if it actually, if I actually kept working on it. Okay. So the other problem is it's not becoming intangible. Why is it not intangible? That's what I'm not getting. Honestly, I can probably get past this by just selecting entire troop. And when it becomes intangible, it will also remove the state enrage from the entire player party. Okay. Let's test the battle again. Turn 1, compulsion. Turn 2, grasping dart. Yep. And then turn 3, nothing, and then turn 4, transform and units. Right, after the stamina. Okay, now it actually does nothing. That's why it automatically transformed last time, because it was still afflicted by the intangible removal state. That's what happened. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, it did feed on flesh. Does it have something here that feeds on flesh? Yes. Okay, it actually still had logic of its own. I don't want it to have logic of its own. And when it transforms back, we remove the state from the enemy of intangible remove. So that way we can actually seamlessly transition between the two states. Alright, let's try this again. I wonder if it'll allow custom audios and sound effects. Yeah, I can put in anything here. Almost any visual or auditory asset I can put in. But I'm trying to be very minimal about adding my own custom visual and audio assets. But anybody who wants to contribute some to the project, I'll throw it. Okay, there's the compulsion effect. There's the grasping darkness. Next will be stamina reduction. Yep, there's the stamina drain. Okay, so on this next turn, it shouldn't do anything. And then after that... Oh. Never mind. I trapped it in a loop, because it counts up to phase count 3, but there's nothing that actually allows it to count to phase count 4. Okay, so we actually need to add a phase count 4 that does nothing but still increments the phase counter. There we go. That is phase count 2, compulsion. This is phase count 3, Grasping Darkness. Next phase count, reduce a target's MP by half. Now it shouldn't do anything for a bit, and then it's going to transition. Okay, so we get Hydro Mist on everybody. It turns into Mist. So now everybody has been affected. So one of the very first things is that I can't actually use any of my special abilities because of the Hydro Mist. So the first thing we need to do is get some Pepsi on Elena, some Crystal Pepsi. Malter can't do anything, good. And it's basically indestructible at this point. So let's Purify on Thatcher. Thatcher, we can put a barrier on Elena. First intangible count, it uses its cursed energy. Why did you curse yourself? Okay. Why did curse also curse itself? I think there's a common event there that's easily fixed. Let's do some more Crystal Pepsi. So now it should start using just some basic poison attacks. Okay, Elena actually reflected that effect. That is really cool. What's my debug code for all abilities? 100. Debug code 100. Oh crap. Alright, I accidentally hit. So, it's not intangible anymore, so I should trigger the transition. Oh right, we're cursed. Cursed hurts healing. False Hydra returned to physical form. And there's the big blast. Which absolutely hurts like hell. Okay, so we should see it have cycled. There we go, there's Compulsion. We'll go ahead and Dr. Pepper Thatcher. Oh my god, it even stops item effects. Oh, that's brutal. Okay. Code 100 needs to teach Exorcism. What about a Justice Punch? Holy crap, Thatcher. So far, this is working perfectly. What if you made a Simpsons reference, like with the pink donut on the floor somewhere? I mean, I can just put a donut on the floor somewhere. Okay, there's the transition. Purify on Thatcher. Malter. Crystal Pepsi on Malter. Now the damage starts. Okay. So this time, I'm going to wait until it starts using its instant death effect. Floods the areas with Toxic Mist. Need to adjust the spelling there. Thatcher, paralyzed. Okay. Okay, it's working. This is absolutely working. It shouldn't be too long now before it starts using an instant death skill. And that is why I test these things, because that should not be a group hitting ability. So let's change death to single enemy. Cursed All spray floods the area with Toxic Mist. And Curse All adds the state cursed. So why did you get cursed? That's what I'm not getting. Curse all. Curse. I have no idea. But I do basically want to copy pretty much all of this and put it here. Immune to Frostburn, stronger in normal. Yeah. That is a second instance of Frostburn normal, which we do not need. Immune to confusion, charm, hex, enroll, curse. Adjust all of that. Adjust that. Blind, expose, sun, intangible, remove. You also cannot be subjected to Hydra Mist or to Curse or Poison. Okay. And now we copy all of these effects and we put them on Hydra 1B as well. That I think that's it. I think that is phase 1 of the Hydra boss. I mean, there's definitely more that needs to be done. And I do need, like, a proper assets for them. But I think that's okay for now. The logic, I'm actually amazed. The logic all works. The first Hydra fight logic is completely functional. Okay. So we're going to put a little bit more into finishing up this particular map. So we're going to have some instances of poison mist around the map. Just like that. We're going to put some holes around the map. This will be the last thing that I work on for today. I think the project has been very successful today. We made a lot of progress. We got a whole major boss fights first phase figured out, which is really good. These things are extremely involved, and I already have like a basic sense of how the next phase is going to go. We'll put a few staircases around just for the hell of it. Add some ground scuffing. Just a little bit here and there. pretty up the ground a bit with some of these. There we go. And then add a few of these. Not too many, though. And finally, add a few of these. Okay. So the whole thing now looks like this. Ooh. Okay. Ouch. Okay. I think that works pretty good. We'll just set around a couple more of these gas areas. And there we go. That is the next level of the dungeon. So, that is going to be it for today. So, let's review what we've accomplished today. We made sure that we now see some cutscenes as we go into the final level of the dungeon, to see, like, our allies here in Wallachia gathering their forces to join the fight. We have a scene here at this underground pool where Elena retrieves a powerful weapon, and we introduce the intangible mechanic in that this sword specifically can get rid of the intangible condition. We designed the next level of the map, which has a series of poison traps, and we completely designed the first part of the big boss for this entire act of the game, the False Hydra. We completely designed the mechanics of the first fight, and we already know that the second part of the fight is going to involve commanding the army of the dead. One more little house cleaning note. Debug code. Where are my debug codes? Debug options, code 100. Also needs to teach Elena the skill exercise. Okay. Alright, and yep, that's it. So, thank you all so much for being here today. As always, I really appreciate it. I'm going to design another few enemies for this part of the game this next week on my own. We already got one of them, that being the tortured soul that I showed off. So I'm going to design a few more enemies. Can't even see a full run through. We are 6 hours into this save. When Act 2 is done, the whole thing will get an updated release on itch.io, and at that point, I will do another full playthrough of all the material that we have so far, all of Act 1 and Act 2. Until then, no, I'm not doing full run-throughs. I'm just slowly advancing our saved position chronologically through the game. Can't even see a full run-through of the boss. I haven't dialed in the boss's health yet, so no. I don't know exactly how much health I want it to have. I figured out the mechanics. It should definitely be possible to beat him. I'm basically going to end up testing it on my own time, seeing how much total damage I can put out this thing if I have, like, 3 full run, like, probably 2, like 2 full phase cycles at the most efficient damage I know how to do, and basically set its HP around there. So most players are probably either going to 3 or 4 cycle it. But I have no idea what that number looks like, since I'm running such low defenses on this thing. So yeah, join me next time. We're going to be designing even more of the Hydra fight. By then, I may even be prepared to be like designing like the event where you finally reach the Hydra and like actually confront it. Getting really close to that point in the game, and I feel pretty damn good about that. So, yeah. Thank you all so much for being there. I will see you all in the next one, and it is time to make the sound to summon the end of the stream. Wah, 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 wah.